He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his
Hey, JFK,
hands.
what's up?
He's got the whole world in his
Eloy, Jimmy.
hands.
What's up, Bobby Joe? Appreciate you. Oh shit, it is 5. Anyway, welcome back to an episode of Ministry of Truth. I am your number one host on this show. I did promise this morning because I had to cut it off early to do the story on the Catholic Church. I was actually reviewing another story, but this one I found was done by CNN, not Al Jazeera, and it actually talked to one of these priests in Africa about what he's done to boys, minors. And that's not just Africa, because that's where the missionaries go, but it also around the world. In the other documentary, it wasn't just Catholic Church. Protestants, Jehovah Witnesses. That one goes deeper too, but it's a shorter video. But before we get anything, you guys know, if you've been here before, you know what's next. Monologue, come after. Appreciate it, man. Sometimes it's got to be said, and I'm already getting hate for it, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Ooh, somebody got to do it.
I may be a little slow, but Bill, right?
God soldier. Ay, Bryson Gray, Alex Stein, let's get it. Ay, ooh, I got everybody mad. Y'all ain't fed up, they got y'all kids watching drag. Acting like strippers while them kids give them cash. Teachers tell them they can change genders in class. Ooh, I got everybody mad. Y'all ain't fed up, they got y'all kids watching drag. Acting like strippers while them kids give them cash. Teachers tell them they can change genders in class. They say, why you burn a pride flag in your video? Boy, I'm Bryson Gray, I'm not LaCrea, Andy Mineo. That's not a diss, just the truth. What you tripping for? I preach the Bible, well, that's what I be in it for. We told y'all about them slippery slopes, not even Disney woke. Hate speech to tell them the truth, but they gon' listen though. Have you ever read Romans 1? We're about to end it though. Talking about live and let live, y'all let them in a go. This is called righteous judgment. What type of parent let their son dress like a woman? I used to think I was Spider-Man. I wasn't. Y'all think it helped him a lot, but it doesn't. Ayy, it's gonna get worse until we fight back. GOP promoting trainings now. I don't like that. His kids lost on the wild path. Get on the right track. Proverbs 17:15. Go recite that. Ooh, I got everybody mad. Y'all ain't fed up. They got y'all kids watching drag. Acting like strippers while them kids give them cash. Teachers tell them they can change genders in class. Ooh, I got everybody mad. Y'all ain't fed up, they got y'all kids watching drag. Acting like strippers while them kids.
I've done it, I think, since I've been here in this community in 2001. Sorry, 2020 or 2021. I can't remember when I showed up. But I disappeared for a little and came back because I kept getting my channels deleted, right? People don't like it when I talk because I don't hold shit back. And the first person I actually talked about was somebody that was, quote unquote, I was on that side. And I've told y'all before, I'm not on a side. I'm on a fucking island. And I just say what I want because what I'm thinking, I'm gonna tell you. I don't sugarcoat. I don't hide anything. I obviously don't hide behind a fucking PFP. No offense to anybody, but it's true.
Give them cash. Teachers tell them they can change genders in class. Ooh.
Yo, Bryson Gray, why they gotta turn every kid gay? What's wrong with the people today? And you know a homie don't play. And I'm not going gay. I don't care what the media say. I'm so sick of the dancing. No, y'all better not be prancing up in a thong in front of a kid and his mom. You know that it's so wrong. That kid should be playing Donkey Kong, not looking at a man in a thong. Y'all, this is so sick. And you know y'all better quit. You know this is the truth. When I spit up in the booth,
guys remember when Alex used to
number 99. And you know I grind and shine. Bryson Gray ain't going gay. Not tomorrow, not today. And a homie don't play. We will call you out. And you know I scream and shout. And you know I got that clout. I'm a pimp on a blimp. And I can see it from outer space.
All right, now that everybody's all warmed up and ready for this. So, like I said, this is from CNN, which is odd because I really don't I don't reference CNN a lot. But occasionally CNN does run a story. I think this is from, they reposted this a few months ago, but it's obviously from 2019. So maybe they actually cared back then. Or maybe it's just because it was a scandal and everybody wanted to see it. Either way, everybody knows about the scandals in the churches. It's no secret. And from what and this is the way they're probably going to explain it. When a Catholic priest gets in trouble for something like this, all they do is move him. They move them to a different fucking church in a different state or even a different country. I've gone over that in a video a few months ago. And then I'm going to watch this, and I already heard them bring up the same thing. So it's like the Scoutmasters from this morning. All you got to either do is move, give a fake name, and leave before 72 hours. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, I present to you the church.
I was a happy child. I was an artist.
It was Hitler.
I loved to go to school because I wanted to be with my friends. But unfortunately, something came along.
Then I just sort of erupted and I just blurted out. I was abused.
If they commit a crime, you look away.
Une fois, je t'ai touché, c'est tout.
If a priest is allowed to go 20 to 30 years, there are several hundred victims per priest.
Give us the time to think about it.
Father, do you have time? When there are vulnerable children, do you have time?
We have cases every day of the week where they're simply moved and put into ministry without telling anyone.
Do you know who this man is? Luke Delft? We spent the whole morning.
For those of you that are listening, I'll read that subtitle to you real quick. There are plenty of women you could have had sex with, but he preferred to sodomize my son. Oh, I mean, that's pretty on point for Catholics.
We've spent the whole morning looking for Father Delft. It's been a bit of a wild goose chase, but now we're hearing that he's back at his office, and we're heading there now. Hello, Father Delft. Yes. No. Rome in all its grandeur. St. Peter's Basilica lights up the sky. All around is postcard perfect. But behind the high walls, turmoil roils the church.
Bad mom.
You get to be a bishop, and you gotta be given an education about the rape of a child.
They know better, but they're not doing better.
The Pope has called a summit to discuss clerical child abuse. Bishops from around the world grappling with the scale of the tragedy.
Files that could have documented the terrible deeds and named, those responsible were destroyed or not even created.
An unprecedented admission. Abuse survivors gather to be heard, demanding justice and change. The Catholic Church issues new guidelines, but survivors say they don't go far enough. There are some worrying grey areas. You may think you know this story, priests abusing children. But there is something you may not know. There are powerful institutions within the Church who are free to self-police. In many cases, not even the Pope can sanction them. The religious orders, the Jesuits, Benedictines, Franciscans.
It's a very
Powerful,
true statement,
wealthy, and secretive. But according to experts, victims, witnesses we spoke with, there is one order that stands out as among the most defiant, most unrepentant. The Salesians of Don Bosco, the second largest order in the world, and whose very mission is to help vulnerable children. In a year-long CNN investigation through Europe, Africa, and across the United States, we found a pattern of behavior which saw many of the Salesian Brotherhood protecting each other, moving alleged abusers from place to place, country to country. In some cases, allegedly threatening whistleblowers and victims.
Not
across
surprising.
continents, across decades. An order meant to protect children, but too many times hurts them instead.
It wasn't just the one priest, it was several of them.
Hey, Bobby
They
Joe.
covered
For the past, like I said, I don't know, but for the past couple of days, I've been saying that it's cover-ups at every level, from high schools to the U.S. Marshals to the church, even to the Boy Scouts of America.
for each other.
There's a bigger problem because how many
Oh,
times
and
has he
sheriff-
abused in the last 40 years?
Two men separated by over a decade of time, but each's abuse and betrayal bleeds into the other's.
Lawyers say that when their client was a student at Richmond Salesian High School from 1969 to 1973,
Local television coverage of a shocking case.
and in their lawsuit filed yesterday, they say other clergy at the school knew about it.
In the late 60s, early 1970s, the Salesian High School in Richmond, California was a hunting ground for a ring of pedophile priests.
You know, now that I think about this, I probably should have called this whole series The Open Secret. Because every story, people knew about it. Because it's not the first incident, and it won't be the last. It's all been covering up. Boy Scouts of America have been covering it up for 100 years.
Self-protecting cluster. An anonymous victim, John Doe 17, filed a lawsuit that was brought in 2003. John Doe 17 is Joey Piscatelli.
I was kind of a happy child. I was an artist. I went to a Catholic grammar school. I got straight A's for 8 years.
When did that start to change?
We were going to play pool, and the priest, who's the vice principal, he sat down at the bench, and he said, "You shoot," and I said, "Okay," and I shot the ball. And I turned around and told him, "It's your turn." And I looked at him, and he was sitting there masturbating. And I remember I turned all red, I started sweating, the hair on my neck was standing up, and I just stood there frozen. I didn't know what to do. And he said, "Keep playing, I want to watch you." And then I turned around, and the head of the boys club, Brother Sal, was watching this, and he just stood there watching. He did nothing.
Joey Piscatelli drew to cope with the abuse. His pictures becoming
shit.
more vivid and violent, mirroring the nightmare he was living. A nightmare that only got worse.
This went on for about a year and a half, and then one day he cornered me on the stairs and started molesting me and told me to get upstairs to the all-purpose room on the third floor of the school. And he dragged me into the room and attacked me, and I was raped. And I passed out and blacked out while that happened. And I just totally lost sense of what happened after he started attacking me. When I got home, well, I don't even know how I got home. But when I got home, I had blood in my underwear. So I went in the backyard of my house and I wrapped the bloody underwear around a rock and threw it over the fence into the field to get rid of the evidence or whatever. It was so disgusting, and I knew I had been raped.
According to Piscatelli, he was threatened when he reported it to a staff member.
The principal of the school, Father Bernard DeBenny, who's now a convicted molester, told me that he was going to kick me out of school and fire my mother from the cafeteria because I have a big mouth.
Threats and intimidation by the Salesians, a pattern you will see throughout this investigation. The Salesians fought Piscatelli's lawsuit at every turn. Like in these court documents, when they argued that Father Whelan masturbating in front of a schoolboy is acceptable if deemed funny. In 2006, Piscatelli won his case and was awarded $600,000. But more than that, he won public recognition of the appalling wrongs he'd suffered at Salesian hands. Father DeBene, the principal who threatened Piscatelli, also had a history of abuse. Over a decade before Joey Piscatelli started Salesian High School in Richmond,
Being Catholic, do you think a proper punishment for these guys should have been them being crucified? And a spear jammed in their ribs? I'm for it.
A Salesian seminary. It was where a teenage George Stein first met Bernard DeBene. I know it's not easy to retell or to relive this, but could you tell us a little bit about what happened in your sophomore year at the seminary?
I want to show you guys. Pay very close attention. I brought this up the other day, and I said there's a difference within people in the community whether they call themselves victims or survivors. Maybe you can use them interchangeably, but I think survivor means that you know what happened, you're trying to grasp it and move forward. Called resilience.
Sure. You want me to talk about abuse or violation?
Only if you want to. Only
Sure.
if you're comfortable
No,
doing
sure,
it.
I can do it. He basically hugged me and kissed me.
Hey, what's up, clown?
And that was inappropriate. And I wasn't expecting it at all. And I told him that this happened and I wanted it to stop. And for me, it did. It stopped. He remained there for the rest of the academic year, and then he was reassigned.
But he was reassigned to another school.
Yes, yes.
Much later, Stein discovered the true horror hidden at the seminary.
At our 40th anniversary of our graduation from high school, a third to a half shared that they'd had occasion to be molested or to be approached.
That's an extraordinary percentage.
That's a large number
of people in that room.
Yes, yes, it is.
The church says so much of this horror is in the past, but it's not. Only last year, the LA Archdiocese had to remove a Salesian priest from working within its school system after becoming aware of sexual abuse allegations dating back 40 years. Allegations that the Salesians had failed to act on.
Not that they failed, they ignored it.
Patrick Wall was himself a religious order priest, and to date has helped to investigate hundreds of clerical abuse cases.
The Salesians are silencio. They have refused to put out anything unless it's with a court order or unless the civil authorities force them to do something. In my experience has been that the Salesians have the highest percentage of perpetrators of any religious order across the world because of their focus.
That focus being the betterment of the lives of children, which includes creating and teaching at schools, youth camps, clubs, and missionary work. The Salesians of Don Bosco, now a worldwide organization working in more than 130 countries, helping millions of children. But as our investigation across 3 continents found, not always protecting them. Coming up, Benjamin Katobo fled his home in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but his demons followed him.
Oh, before this one starts. If you haven't seen the one who did on the Boy Scouts, it's graphic. Not visually. But some of the stuff they're going to talk about. So if you have a weak stomach or not that, or highly sensitive, I wouldn't watch that one. But this is probably going to be just as bad. That's a few hours away from where I live.
Une fois, je t'ai touché, c'est tout. Et je le regrette, et pour ces une fois...
Benjamin Katobo with the taped confession of his abuser. Capturing it was the start, he says, of taking his life back.
J'ai fait une erreur.
The man on the tape, Father Omer Verbeke, a Belgian priest stationed in Katobo's then home of the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Africa. But it wasn't just one time. Katobo says it went on for years at the seminary where he was a teenager, studying to be a priest in the 1980s.
He says, I don't understand. I repent to God. What more should I do to ask forgiveness? How did that make you feel? How does it make you feel?
Oh, that's destroying.
From his home in St. Louis, Katobo filed a claim against Verbeke in Ghent, Belgium, where Bishop of Ghent, Lucas van Looy, a Salesian superstar, took over the handling of the case. Katobo was awarded compensation and says Van Looy promised him Verbeke would no longer be around young people. As Bishop of Ghent, Van Looy had oversight of Verbeke, and he failed to keep him in Belgium, failed to keep him away from children.
In 2014, you had discovered that he had set up an orphanage in Rwanda, and so, of course, was around children. Did the Bishop of Ghent respond to you?
Yes, but the response was just two lines. Yeah, we do have a monitoring system for suspected pedophile priests here.
Van Looy refused CNN's request for an on-camera interview and insisted he repeatedly imposed a travel ban on Verbeke, but admitted to us Verbeke had ignored the ban.
Oh, whatever.
Verbeke is not a Salesian priest, but as we left St. Louis, it was clear to us that senior Salesians such as Van Looy are in positions to affect the handling of abuse allegations, even in the case of non-Salesians like Verbeke.
Before leaving the aircraft, take a quick look around your seat. Make sure you have everything you brought on board.
I love Europe.
Through our investigation, it's becoming clear that even as the Pope recommends universal principles of conduct, the orders, the Salesians, continue business as usual.
What makes them special?
We're in Ghent, in Belgium, because so many of the allegations lead us back here. Bishop Van Looy was not just involved in the case of Father Verbeke. There were many other cases. like Father Luke Delft.
De jongens verwittigden na het misbruik de directeur.
Father Luke Delft, a dormitory supervisor convicted in 2012 regarding previous abuse at a Salesian boarding school in Ghent. Yet again, there was an opportunity to stop an abuser, and yet again, the Salesians failed. Spurred by concerns, Delft could still be interacting with children. 2 of the boarding school victims agreed to speak with us.
I was 12, so everybody was 12, 13 years old. And suddenly, at night, someone was trying to pull off my blanket.
The day after, I remember I told one of my best friends that I had a really weird dream involving getting touched in places which were weird.
And at the beginning we were laughing about it because one of the kids told us, yeah, I had like a dream and I came in my dream, but afterwards, yeah, we heard the horrible facts. So yeah.
And the next night, I woke up again, and then I realized I was really awake, and then I felt, someone touching my legs and my genitals, and also, giving me oral, I don't know how to say it.
It was Father Luke Delft, a dormitory supervisor at the school and a rising Salesian star.
Unlimited
CNN has learned Delft was moved by the Salesian order after being confronted over the allegations. He was sent to work with a number of different schools in Belgium. Then, the Salesians sent him abroad to one of the most vulnerable countries in the world.
They just shipped him off to another country. Imagine if these were... I don't think society takes this issue serious enough.
Father Luke Delft was, we're told, marked for greatness. Charming, intelligent, expected to rocket up the ranks of his Catholic religious order, the Salesians of Don Bosco. He was also a serial pedophile. In 2001, Delft worked as a bedroom monitor at a Salesian boarding school in Ghent, Belgium, when he sexually assaulted 2 boys, aged 12 and 13 at the time. After a few nights of this ordeal, one of the students struck up the courage to speak to someone they trusted.
One of the victims...
Wim Hansens was the deputy director of the boarding school.
There was no moment in my mind when a child comes to tell you this, that it happened.
You believed him immediately?
Yeah. The day afterwards, another boy came to me and told me the same story. At that moment, I wrote down on a paper what these kids told me. I called Luke Delft. I show him on the paper what these children told me. And first he said, I just caressed them. But when I let him read that he touched the genitals of those kids, he confessed, and I asked him to sign this paper, which he did.
A signed confession. Hansens asked Delft to leave the school and made sure the Salesian order were aware. Hansens says the Salesians promised him and the parents of the boys that Delft would never be around children again. CNN has learned that this promise has been repeatedly broken, as Salesian leaders in Belgium moved the confessed pedophile priest from one school to another and allowed him to travel abroad. Ghent, St. Peterswallowo, Haiti, India, and supervising children on a school trip to the Congo.
Go figure, Haiti.
De jongens verwittigden na het misbruik de directeur.
In 2012, Luke Delft was convicted for the abuse of children in the Don Bosco dormitory, to which he had confessed in 2001. It was only when a former staff member finally did what Salesian leaders had not, reported Delft to the authorities.
Feiten getuigen van een volkomen gebrek aan respect.
During the trial, it was also revealed that he had twice been caught with child pornography on his laptop. Delft received a suspended sentence. His restrictions clear. No interactions with children for the next 10 years. Were he to break these rules, he would face a new trial and possible imprisonment. Hansen says he paid a high price for speaking out against the Salesians.
They can break you. And they broke me. So yes, I had to leave because I'm like a kind of danger, according to them. Although I think they should be grateful. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened to those victims.
He says he was blacklisted from Salesian schools in the area after reporting the inappropriate behavior of a number of priests. The Salesians deny his accusation. Time and time again, we have seen a pattern of behavior by the Salesians to systematically move known pedophiles and to intimidate those who want to protect children.
So what the saying is,
always a system.
See something, say something. By the way, we're just going to remove him, and then we're going to destroy you. So when you try to tell the truth, people don't like it, and they're going to try and bury you. That sounds familiar.
Move that person to another place, and we'll see.
But once convicted, would the Salesians really risk giving Delft access to children again? We set out in search of Delft. Much of what we know about his movements are from his own social media posts. Our research is zeroing in on a remote town in the Central African Republic,
Literally in the middle of nowhere.
So that's where we're headed.
Get away with it.
The only safe way for us to get to the town is on a United Nations humanitarian flight. It's taken us about 2 days, 3 different planes to get up here to the north of the Central African Republic. If you were trying to disappear, this would definitely be suitably remote. UNICEF has called it one of the worst places in the world to be a child, falling to the bottom of the UN Human Development Index. A shaky peace deal is barely holding. The United Nations forces on constant watch.
Shit, the UN's just as bad as any
the
other
threat
pedophile ring
level
out there.
is almost at its highest. When Father Delft arrived here, part of his work involved caring for families and children forced from their homes by violence. Incredibly vulnerable families and children. The young training to be altar servers. The Catholic Church has a strong presence in this community and throughout the country. 4 years ago, the Pope came and blessed the Christians of the Central African Republic. Hundreds of people celebrating. In the crowd, we spot Luc Delft.
Yeah, c'est dommage pour le dire, mais il n'y a pas beaucoup changé.
And in this promotional video for Caritas, the Catholic Church's relief agency, he's even featured as a key director for the agency. Delft was sent here by the Belgian Salesians, well aware of the court restrictions on him. The Catholic compound in Kagabanduro. Right behind is a school. This is where the Caritas office was and still is. This is where Luc Delft was based. Caritas here under Delft was in charge of looking after internally displaced people, providing food, education, and medicine. We have been told that it was during this period that Delft was once again abusing children. Our local producer has found the family of an alleged victim who may be willing to speak with us. It's proving really difficult to get people to speak to us on camera. People are really afraid. We're going to jump out here and try one last time.
Elle est vraiment désolée pour cette situation. Si vous voulez pas, votre fils ne parle pas, vous pouvez également dire un petit truc sur cette situation.
Oh, they're talking about street justice.
As we drive away, we pass the burnt down courthouse. A reminder that there are no real avenues for justice here. Next, a race against time to track down this known paedophile. We've spent the whole morning looking for Father Delft. It's been a bit of a wild goose chase, but now we're hearing that he's back at his office, and we're heading there now. Hello, Father Delft.
Oh, at least we don't have to wait for commercials. I'll give CNN a prop for this one. They did a good job.
The Alleluia rings out. A choir boy leads the congregants in song as the Pope oversees a Mass at the Vatican celebrating the work of Caritas, the Catholic Church's relief charity. We found Father Luke Delft, convicted paedophile, among the congregation. Head bowed, he accepts the Blessed Sacrament. As director of Caritas in the Central African Republic, Delft traveled freely, attending this service only a month before we would try to visit him. We've heard that Delft has continued to abuse children, but so far, no one is willing to speak on camera. It's here in Kagabanduro that Delft first worked for Caritas, the Catholic charity. Their mission, to protect the most vulnerable. It's also here that we're hearing whispers of possible new victims. Finally, a breakthrough. At the local displaced camp on the outskirts of town, Albin and his father agree to speak to us.
Do you know who this man is?
Luc.
Père Luc?
Nalisa kamado. Lu bukan bea bongo. Kami papa lu muka minja. Si jana ngumi bakalu, lu gadi okan ngumi bakalu inali inja. That's Amino.
He became your friend. What happened?
Shonel sasu. Meso kumi ba futuro kisoko ene vemiene vengo. Mi banga visage lu ngaka kama para mi bazo. Pa ene mingi.
It's clear Albin is too upset to talk much more. So we asked his father if he can explain what happened.
What did Father Delft do?
That was clearly really tough for both Albin and his father. But we had to show them this picture. We had to know that the man that Albin says abused him is Father Luke Delft. What happened in there clearly came at such great cost for both of them. But it was something that they told us again and again they needed to do because justice is not easy to get up here.
Oh,
we leave
be
Kagabanduro.
surprised.
It's time to track down Delft. This is Bangui, capital of the Central African Republic. We've traveled here from the north where we met Albin. Caritas Centrafrique's headquarters is here.
Yo, this dude went all through Africa too.
Sunday, and we get an early morning wake-up call. Our contacts are telling us he regularly celebrates Mass in the area. We try the churches. He's nowhere to be found. We try him at his residence, but he hasn't spent the night. Nothing. We've spent the whole morning looking for Father Delft. It's been a bit of a wild goose chase, but now we're hearing that he's back at his office, and we're heading there now. Hello, Father Delft.
Yes. No.
We spoke to the prosecutor in Belgium. We'd like to speak to you to ask you some questions about breaking the terms of your sentence. We also spoke to some children up in Kagabandura who had some really disturbing stories to share with us. And of course, we want to hear what you have to say about it, Father Delft.
Nothing.
What do you mean, nothing?
Nothing.
You're a priest, you're a man of God. These children are accusing you of abusing them, and you have nothing to say for yourself?
No.
Do you know Alban? Do you remember Alban?
Nope.
He said he was 13 when you abused him. Do you remember him?
I'm willing to bet he's got so many victims, he probably doesn't remember.
Alban? Alban, in Kagabandura. At the compound, the Catholic compound. He and his father spoke to us. He was crying. He said that you told him you loved him, and then you hurt him. You have nothing to say.
No.
It doesn't disturb you to hear that children said this about you.
No.
Man, I just want to punch him.
Do you want to say anything?
No.
Well, we will, of course, be speaking to the...
No. One of these guys where you punch him in the face and you tell him to pick up his teeth off the ground to get it off my floor, but he can't pick them up because all his fucking fingers are broken. Look at this dude's like, I don't know if he's got no remorse or if he's like, fuck, because after this he's gonna run.
The managers of Caritas about our findings. Thank you for whatever this was.
Like Mitch McConnell.
He had nothing to say for himself. He was utterly blank. He didn't care. He did not care. He didn't remember. You could see it in his eyes that he didn't remember that little boy's name.
See?
The things that that little boy told us, the bravery that that little boy showed in speaking to us, and that man in there didn't remember him. We travel back to Belgium to share the evidence we've gathered with the Salesian Order. Maybe we can get answers here. Father Carlo Lutz has been handling allegations of child abuse for the Flemish region of the Salesian Order for almost a decade. The Order's work with young children, he tells us, complicates the question of where to relocate abusers.
That's one of the greatest challenges, what to do with abusers. We have to move them to another place.
Send them to China.
But we don't have so much alternatives.
So specifically in the case of Father Delft, as you remember it, how was it handled?
He abused two members of the boarding school in Ghent. He was at that moment immediately removed from the boarding school. The decision was clear, no direct pedagogical contact with young people. So he became a coordinator, administrator of a center, vocational and educational training in St. Peter's Woluwe.
St. Peter's Woluwe, which is a school though. So the center is housed within a school.
Yeah, but separately.
But there were children on the campus.
There were children on the campus, yeah.
Eventually, Delft got into trouble again.
He was found with child pornography on a laptop that he had access to.
Yes, yeah.
Were you aware that in 2008, Luke Delft went on a school trip with children to Lubumbashi in the Congo?
When you say it to me, yeah.
And yet, still, the Salesians sent him to the Central African Republic, where CNN found his latest accusers.
What will you do now with Father Delft?
We have an advisory commission about cases about sexual abuse, and for us these are new facts, and I will bring together that commission, and there we will discuss how to handle concretely, but at least give us the time to think about it. When people...
Father, do you have time? When there are vulnerable children, do you have time?
But at least we met first Friday, now it's Tuesday, and now you proved me that there are new cases, so also you took some time. So we will not take time in the sense of months, of weeks, and a very short time, I will bring people together who can help us what has to be done concretely and what will be the most appropriate way to handle.
You've been handling child abuse cases now for 8-9 years.
Yeah.
How is that? How does that feel?
It's a shame.
But shame doesn't help the survivors we spoke with. We traveled to the Vatican for answers.
Oh, this could be interesting.
CNN has uncovered a blind spot within the church that allows religious orders to self-police. One order, the Salesians, have used this blind spot to protect their own, putting the brotherhood before children, putting lives at risk.
That sounds familiar.
We came to the Vatican to share the evidence that we were able to unearth over a year-long investigation. Evidence of abusers being moved, evidence of a refusal to defrock abusers, evidence of lives being destroyed. But many of the key institutions refuse to even speak to us. And that doesn't give much hope for the church's commitment to transparency and change.
How is it that even presented with evidence, allegations of a convicted pedophile's continuing abuse, Father Luke Delft was not immediately recalled from the Central African Republic?
How long did it
Caritas
take?
Internationalis' new head of safeguarding says the Salesians did not contact them about the current allegations against Caritas' former director, Luke Delft.
So you were only made aware when we contacted you?
Yes, and from what information you shared with us, there are new allegations there which need to be investigated, hopefully by the police or at least internally by the church. To
Think of what just happened there, his reaction, and think about the U.S. Marshals case in Ohio. We weren't aware, so the cover-up started from the bottom and just didn't pass you guys. It's an open secret, so it's ignored.
to take action against Father Luke and any other person who is responsible for Father Luke's behavior.
And in order for that to happen?
We need to have systems that work. We need to have people that follow the systems, and when the systems are not followed, there needs to be consequences.
Nah, Matt, I had to come back and do the Catholic Church one because I told him I would.
Yet again, the Salesians appear to have withheld information from others in the church. We are still looking to understand how this is possible. But the Vatican says things are changing, and they are encouraged by the new papal guidelines issued just this year. Father Hans Zollner is on the Pope's Commission for the Protection of Minors. He was one of the few people who agreed to talk with us.
This is a very important step forward in the development of a culture of accountability.
Does this apply, though, to the holy orders? Because the holy orders will not directly fall under that bishop.
Now, the congregations and the religious orders follow a different type of structure and legal...
Question. I mean, we all know hypothetically it's possible. But do you think any of the popes were pedos? I realize, not all Catholic priests are. I mean, there's like 3 that aren't. Do you think one of them was the Pope? Or any Pope?
Legal procedures. Many people think the Catholic Church is a monolithic block with one CEO who is the Pope, and he presses a button, and every bishop and every priest and every Catholic actually salute, and they follow what he does. And that is not the case. In some cases, in way too many cases, the religious superiors did not follow through canon law.
But the fact is, they did not follow through canon law, and there was no oversight mechanism that made any note of that. So there are no sanctions. There have been no sanctions for that.
If there are no sanctions within the community, which is in that case an order or a congregation, then there is almost no possibility to do that.
An order that is almost untouchable, even by the Pope. Religious orders like the Salesians are left to act with almost no external accountability.
When you put the institution first and not the people for whom you serve, then that is the biggest problem.
In the centuries of its existence, this is the heart of the battle within the Church. Could these new papal guidelines make a difference? The way they're written makes it unclear how they will even be applied to religious orders. Survivors tell us it's impossible to have faith in a church that isn't holding everyone equally to account. Meanwhile, they're the ones left to struggle with the hurt.
And they said each perpetrator in the church probably has at least 100 victims. And that's just the Catholics. Never mind the other religions that were in the other documentary I was going to choose. It's crazy. It's almost like a cult. Because cults control people. Cults put priorities over reality. I mean, their own pet projects, of course, like government. They spend money on pet projects for themselves that mean nothing to the American people. Like, what happens if you put cocaine on your asshole and go on a bender? I mean, somebody probably knows that, and they could have just asked them for free. And every incident that we've gone over, it's been cult-like. And so I decided, let me do a little video checking on cults. And let's see. This will be just a last little bit of info before I go, but let's talk about cults. And let's see how similar all these cases were.
This video was sponsored by CuriosityStream. get access to my video streaming service, Nebula, when you sign up for CuriosityStream using the link in the description. When people hear the word cult, a certain image tends to burst into their brain. Brainwashed devotees worshipping a crazed narcissist and willing to sacrifice anything for them. While Jonestown, Heaven's Gate, and the Solar Temple have given cults a violent reputation, most cults tend to keep a much lower profile. Cults are everywhere. There's probably a cult in your town, and the tricks they use to lure people in aren't complicated, but rather tried and tested social.
Does anybody know a cult within your community? I can think of one.
Manipulation tactics that anyone can fall for. So what is a cult? How do they trap people? And how do people end up believing that volcano alien ghosts are living on their bodies? Well, let's find out.
I've never restreamed this guy, so
a cult can form around
hopefully it doesn't
anything.
go out.
Politics, religion, business, self-improvement, therapy, hate, aliens, meditation, YouTube channels, and eco-friendly lifestyles. Cults are not solely religious, and not all new religious movements or unorthodox groups are cults. Cult does not mean religion or group I don't like, but refers to a very specific structure and characteristics. The Symbionese Liberation Army, famous for kidnapping Patty Hearst, was a political cult. Amway is a corporate cult. And the Children of God, the cult that Joaquin Phoenix was raised in, that's a religious cult. Rastafarianism, Baha'i, Wicca, those are new religious movements, but not cults. They don't deceive people into joining, and they don't demand their followers cut off ties with non-Rastafarian friends and family. It isn't their beliefs that make a cult, it's their authoritarian structure, their deceptive recruitment, and how controlling they are. That's why cults are also called totalist groups, and why they share their structure with totalitarian regimes. Cults aren't about belief, they're about control. And to spot a cult, you just have to look out for these 3 characteristics. 1. A charismatic and authoritarian leader.
Okay.
Cult leaders always have 2 qualities, charisma and authoritarianism. A cult leader needs to have enough confidence, charm, and drive to pull people in, and they're always narcissists. Cult leaders like Jim Jones, Soko Ashihara, and Marshall Applewhite all fit at least 8 of the 9 criteria for people with narcissistic personality disorder. Their charisma and grandiose sense of self-importance attract people, but after that initial charm, their authoritarian nature and lack of empathy creates a culture of fear and terror, which keeps people in the cult.
The energy that I felt from him put me into a state of almost fear and awe, because when somebody says and starts owning that he may be or kinda is a representative of the kingdom of heaven, there's kind of a energy that's exchanged between the 2 people. It's like there's a charge that goes on.
Shut up and drink the
thought reform. Coercive persuasion, brainwashing, mind control, whatever you want to call it. It's a process through which people can change the minds and thoughts of other people without them realizing it's happening. Cults, along with other cult-like groups such as terrorist organizations, hate groups, and totalitarian movements, all use thought reform. It even happens in cases of domestic abuse. Thought reform or brainwashing doesn't turn people into zombies or Manchurian candidates. There's no secret drugs or hypnosis going on. It's simply words and group pressures. We'll look at how cults use thought reform to manipulate people in a bit. 3. Exploitation. Once a charismatic leader has indoctrinated a follower through thought reform, they can begin exploiting them economically, psychologically, politically, or sexually.
He was doing so much in the community, and so why not, rather than just tithe your 20%, why not sell your home?
Yeah.
Give the money to the church. And that is what people began to do.
So how do people end up in cults? Well, people end up in cults or totalist groups in a number of different ways. Many are kidnapped or forcibly enlisted, like the estimated 20,000 children forced into Joseph Kony's Lord's Resistance Army. Once forced into these groups, their charismatic and authoritarian leaders can begin indoctrination. Or you can be born into a cult or totalitarian regime. The children raised in the Children of God cult, or North Korean citizens, didn't choose to be in the cult they're in, but both of them are exposed to the same thought reform processes and authoritarianism. Or you can be recruited into a cult. There's a common stereotype of a typical cult recruit, a seeker, a slightly wacky hippie type, very into hummus and crystals, who went looking for enlightenment, found the cult, and can now assemble a Kalashnikov while doing yoga. But study after study has discovered that there is no personality profile for your typical terrorist or cult recruit. Any of us could become vulnerable given the right conditions, the right group, and the right time. Major life changes such as a recent move, a breakup, a death in the family, career shift, war, natural disaster, or a global pandemic can leave someone isolated from their usual support structures. During these times, we all tend to look for friends, are more open to strangers, and are more willing to accept things we normally wouldn't.
Maybe I need to make friends with the cult leaders. Maybe I should be sympathetic to their cause. We should all do that. Hug a cult member for me.
Usually, it's the cults that go out and look for followers. And cults recruit everywhere. Lectures, seminars, retreats, going door to door. They run schools, businesses, political groups, meditation and yoga classes, weight loss programs, and therapy clinics. Most cults even have front groups set up to appeal to a wide range of interests. The Unification Church, commonly known as the Moonies, have hundreds of front groups, including academic and professional groups, dozens of businesses, and media such as the New World Encyclopedia and the Washington Times. The Church of Scientology has front groups like Sterling Management, who do corporate training, or the Narconon Drug Rehabilitation Program, or, hilariously, the Cult Awareness Network is also a Scientology front group. Cults are always deceptive during recruitment. New recruits will interact with a front group unaware that it's related.
You will go through as a recruit. We will teach you everything that we want to teach you, and you just obey.
To a cult. There is never any mention of galactic overlords, celibacy, polygamy, suicide missions, 20-hour workdays, or forced marriages. That all comes much later. For now, it's just a group interested in bettering themselves and the world through mindfulness or new biblical interpretations or a public speaking workshop. Nothing to worry about. The Unification Church calls this heavenly deception. Other Bible-based cults call it giving milk before meat. It's okay to lie to new recruits because, in the end, it's for their own good. Once within reach, the new recruit will be love-bombed. Love bombing is a tactic in which cult members smother new recruits with flattery, praise, and affection. Love bombing is extremely effective on anyone, but especially so on people who already feel isolated and ignored. New recruits will gradually find their free time filled with group classes, meetings, dinners, and retreats. Recruits' lives are swallowed up by the group. Their entire day is filled with cult-related work assignments, studying, lectures, meditating, chanting, etc., etc. This has the added benefit of keeping the recruit awake for long periods, which affects their critical thinking abilities and simply leaves them with no time to reflect on what's actually happening.
You're constantly up, you're constantly busy, and you're made to feel guilty if you take too many luxuries like sleeping. You tend to not really think for yourself, and I did allow Jones to think for me.
Many cults will then begin to pressure new members to leave their family, friends, and jobs. Free Domain Radio is an internet-based cult led by self-proclaimed philosopher Stefan Molyneux, known for its practice of encouraging its new recruits to de-foo, to reject their family of origin. This isolation tactic is common in cults to force a recruit to become dependent on the group. Removing family removes a fundamental source of emotional and financial support for people, and an important source of reality checking. Romantic relationships and friendships must also be scrutinized even within the group. This is why many cults practice either celibacy or polygamy, because it stops people from forming a close romantic bond with just one person. The only relationship they can have must be with the entire group or the leader. To replace families, many cult leaders take on familial ties. David Berg, head of the Children of God, was known as Dad or Grandpa. Elizabeth Clare, prophet of the Church Universal and Triumphant, was Mother. And Paul Pot, leader of the Khmer Rouge, was known as Brother Number 1. Many cults encourage confessing traumas either to the whole cult or with an assigned member.
Before I came here, I was taking LSD, marijuana, every type of dope you can imagine. Without our Pastor Jim Jones to teach me the right way, I would not be in college right now.
The cult will usually lead the recruit to exaggerate or even misremember their pasts negatively. This causes guilt and anxiety about their former personal connections and past. They were bad people before they joined the group, and the group is the only way they can become better people.
In my last lifetime, I lived during World War II, and I was a French prostitute that I had taken up with a German officer just to protect my butt. The French resistance found out about me, and they threw me and all my belongings out in the street. And the mob that mobbed me and shaved my head there is the reason why I was so afraid of crowds now.
The group will position itself as the only sanctuary in which these feelings can be expressed. So now the follower will seek more comfort from the group, even though it's the group that's causing their discomfort. Everyone is constantly confessing things to the cult. Sharing anything to one member of the cult means sharing it to everyone. So privacy does not exist. They cannot share doubts or complaints or tell anyone if they are being abused. The lack of free time, the sleep deprivation, and the complete destruction of individuality means that there is no time for self-reflection. Recruits suffer from a triple isolation, from friends and family, from other cult members, and from their own mind. As the follower grows more isolated, they begin to rely on approval from the cult, and this is where human weakness to peer pressure can be used against them. Even when a cult member has doubts, they are made to feel that they are wrong. When they look around, they see only happy, believing followers. No one expresses any doubt, and so when a follower feels doubt, they feel alone and wrong. It is them that must work harder to understand the group. The group or the leader is never wrong.
I'd look around and I'd say, am I the only one that feels this way? I learned eventually not to say anything to anyone.
In a cult, you are rewarded for good behaviour with praise and privileges, but those that behave in the wrong way are shunned and punished. So as the cult is isolating you from your ordinary reality, they provide you with a new and unanimously approved worldview. Now an all or nothing point of view begins to be preached to them. They teach that every single word of the ideology is completely true or none of it is. If you have any doubts, you will be excluded and you will suffer. The way that these ideas are told also matters. Every cult or totalitarian system has its own loaded language. Scientology, for example, uses terms like reactive mind, suppressive person, and case gain. Loaded language prevents followers from expressing anything outside the cult's ideology. New, vague words that can stand for anything are used without the things themselves actually being discussed. Why listen to your family telling you you're in a cult when they're suppressive people, and you know suppressive people shouldn't be listened to? All kinds of horrible names are given to non-cult members. Systemites, unclean, or satanic, for example. This cult members.
What's that first word? And then just take out the system. Oh, that shit sounds familiar.
Systemites, unclean, or satanic, for example. This creates an us versus them mindset. Now any criticism of the cult is seen as an attack. You are in the cult or you are an enemy. There is no in between. Now their whole existence is the group. If they leave, they are nothing. And joining the outside world is seen as a very dangerous idea. Many cults preach that anyone that leaves will probably die or be living on the streets in no time. Here the cult's control becomes total, allowing no other beliefs and no other affiliations. This is why cults are called totalist groups. They consume every aspect of the follower's life. While an average Christian, Buddhist or Muslim can enjoy astrology, attend yoga classes, and like and subscribe to the Cogito YouTube channel, someone this far into a cult has nothing outside of it. All activities, relationships, and beliefs revolve around the cult. The deeper you go towards the center of the cult, the more distant from reality you start to become. The beliefs revealed to the inner circles of the cult are sometimes so extreme that the outer circles must be protected from it until they are ready. For example, in Scientology, the public and new recruits were protected from the most extreme ideas. like that of the dictator of the Galactic Confederacy, Xenu, and of alien souls bursting forth from volcanoes and jumping onto human bodies.
I mean, they
the
really
public
are.
only found out about this story after it was leaked by ex-cult members, journalists, and the internet. Once a follower has reached a stage where the cult's ideology has totally consumed them, they'll believe and do anything. Followers can now be exploited and deployed. In most cases, cult members end up losing a few years of their lives, going broke, or ending up with too many supplement pills that they can't sell. But cults can take an unfortunately dangerous route sometimes, which is why it's important to spot a cult's characteristics and the methods they use to isolate and control people. And that's a basic introduction to cults. It isn't even close to covering everything. There's a lot of debate around this topic. One video simply can't cover everything. This was just a primer so that when we start making videos
I have this uncanny skill that I'll have a certain subject in mind and I'll look it up. And then I'll see a bunch of different sources. And then somehow, when I pick the specific videos, they always end up good. And that was another case of it. Because that was the second one I watched. I'm like, this one's it. This is the one. And I picked it. And when I showed it, it worked out. Now you go back to Hollywood. They're a cult. You do what they say, you succeed. You don't do it, you ignore it, and you're done. I already said Hollywood. What's the next one? The Boy Scouts. Over 100 years of names. They let one guy go for 30 fucking years. And they followed him. Look what happened when he indoctrinated those kids. One murdered his family. One ended up unaliving himself when he was told to murder his family. Cults are a bad thing. But they could also be a good thing. Like I was said, I was on a cult in the army. And then I was a cult within a cult because I was an airborne ranger. I like cults. But not anymore. So, just want to check one last thing real quick. Nope. Calm down. Let's see. Who the fuck is Javi? He's clearly not relevant. He sounds very bitter because other channels have subscribers, viewers, and supporters. Not all catchers have the same style or were as effective as others. That's why they don't just hand off catches. They keep their catches so they can ensure they get the results that they are aiming for. Stop blaming your failures and other people's success. I'm sorry, I don't have to grift. I pay for everything I've got. I digress. Who are these people and do they really matter? So that you people that watched my last video and agreed with me or watched that Tommy or the Damone Cliff Notes version of what I said, y'all don't matter. Anybody that agreed with me, Butcher Baker says you don't matter. Truth hurts. Truth hurts. If I have to be the enemy, I'll win. Look into my background. I already know you will not find anything because I have been what I said I am. I don't have any domestic violence. Never had my kids taken away from me. never abused my kids. If you don't like the fucking truth, that sucks, man. This is America. And I'm my own fucking person. So if you think I'm irrelevant, I'll be Mr. Irrelevant. I don't care. But I'm going to be real. And anybody that saw that rant this morning knows it took a lot for that to happen. So if I'm just one angry little guy, cool. I'm that angry little guy. But you know what? I know what I'm capable of. And I own everything I do or say. Right, Juniper? I owned up to what we spoke about when we first started talking. I'll own up every time I talk shit about certain people in their catches. Not mainly the person, because in a world that I grew up in, situational awareness is very important. Anybody that's got a CCW knows situational awareness is very important. If you pull your gun, and you use it, it better hit target. Anything after that, you're held accountable for. Little known fact. I've held everything I've been done accountable. From the day I was born till the day I die. You don't think I'm successful. I know I'm successful. And I don't have to brag. My big issue with him is he lacks situational awareness. In a world like today, you need that. Because if you think about it, all these stories, like I said, I should have called this series The Open Secret. You know what your issues are. Why not fix it? I wasn't always perfect. I learned. I gained knowledge, which some of you lack. What's up, Sam? I don't care if anybody hears this or not. Because I know truth pisses people off. It really does. But we're in a business of not, how do I say this? You have to tell people what their faults are. I know I've got faults. I do. And my temper is actually one of them, believe it or not. Well, Matt, I think it's a combination, to be honest. Especially lately. And the one catch that really pissed me off and really set me off was the one where he had that family inside the house. And he's yelling. People knocking. Oh, and everybody that stopped, hey, you know this guy? You put that family at risk in that situation right there. And you shit on me for it, and your chat shit on me for it, but you didn't apologize to me the next day when you did your chit chat, and you absolutely knew you were wrong. You admitted you were wrong. Twice. I literally sit back and I observe. I try to keep quiet. But everybody knows the secret's out there, but everybody keeps ignoring it. And look what happens in society when people ignore shit. That could have been one of my kids. That could be your kids. If you care about your kids. This last I'm going to talk about this. It is. So y'all can say whatever the fuck you want after this. You can demonize me. You can check into my background. You can find something. You know what? I'll make it easier for you. Nunya knows the most about me. You want information on me? It's out there. And I know CPP and Tommy and Nunya are like this. But I do trust Nunya. Some of you are going to fucking shit on me for that one, call me stupid. That's one person that's been day one. I thought Wolf was day one, but then I saw him for what he was. Anybody got any questions? I know there's only like not 5 of you in here. I'm an open book. Just ask me. You know, I watch, is it Predcatcher News and Drama? I think I watched that channel like twice. And, I'm sorry. That Predcatcher News and, I can't remember which one it was. But, they were showing a long list of cases. That didn't make it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I'm not biting. I'm not biting that. Because I'm just not going to get into it. And what can be said? If I think I can do it better, why don't I do it? Why don't I do it? Because I saved real kids. I've caught motherfuckers. And guess what? That government over there took care of them. This is not a game. You should know that. But you don't. You don't care. I tell people all the time, you're a hell of a catcher, man. But you don't listen to anybody. But I still believe in one team, one fight. I just wish the rest of them fell in line. I don't care, man. I'm like I said, you can ask me anything and I'll be 100% honest. What do I have to lose? You gonna call my job? If you call my job, that's actually my phone number. And if you want to talk to my boss, I'll go get him. Hold on. What's up? Anybody got any issues? Did you hurt your feelings? I can't control that guy. I've changed a lot in my life. I used to be very violent. I got paid to be violent. I don't like losing my temper since I got out of the military. I don't like getting angry. And I've done that my entire life because I have to observe everything. I just feel like some people are in it for the wrong reason. But if I'm ever gonna grift, I don't have a job. I need to pay my house. Anybody want to help me out? It'll just be one time every month for the next 25 years. Yeah? Oh, yeah? No. Guess what? I pay my own mortgage. No, if that, I'm not really trying to go offend anybody else. If you really wanted people to donate, you wouldn't have to ask. That's all I'm saying. You know what? I don't even know why. I mean, saying this. Why don't we just create another group? For the people that are here for... Well, then again, it's who do we know here is for the right reason? We don't know everybody's background. I just want a place where whoever fucking wants to play stupid games can stay on the fucking outside. Like my own little island. Where if you're here to learn, welcome. Knowledge is power. And those of you know me, know I would give my eye for all the knowledge in the world. And we also know why I say that. And I think the key to life, the secret to life, or whatever they fucking call it, is you have to keep learning. You guys hear me say this a lot. Knowledge really is power. You have to keep learning. Every day. Because the day you stop learning, what's the purpose of living? Right? There really is none. At least that's the way 7 of the 12 personalities in my head think, since I apparently have mental issues, which I do. I do. But those voices in my head, they're there for a reason. Like if I were ever to drink, I never drink alone. Because they're drinking with me. Maybe it's the military background. Maybe it's the actual cohesiveness we had. And we all maintained our individual mission. We may not have liked each other. But we had one mission. And everybody was my brother. We gotta do better as a community, guys. Good news is tomorrow, June 23rd of the year 1999, I was officially a member of the United States military. It's a long fucking time ago. You can see it in my beard. But I'm not telling y'all how to think. I'm just telling y'all to think. And be open to criticism. Bobby Joe, I've been trying to say that, and people don't seem to want to listen. I said a couple years ago that I'm going to try my best. And I tried. I tried for a good time. But I know a con man when I see a con man. Just saying. Thank you for my rant. Not really sure what I'm going to do next. But, if not tomorrow. What's up, Tiny? Type faster, Tiny. Stop fat fingering it. We're waiting on you, Tiny. Yes. Yes, Tiny. So when I was in the military, I was a medic. Everyone knows I was a medic. And I was very good at my job. And the infantryman, I was God. Doc is God. And I bought a 2500 diesel truck, I think 2012. And I used to tell people I needed it because it had to hold me and my fucking ego. But I have the ego because I've been humbled. I've been humbled many times. But there's guys like West Point fuckers. They have egos, but they're little faggots. Oh, am I going to offend somebody by saying faggot? Queers. Homosexuals. Gays. Y'all have a good night.
I'm way down.
I don't know when everything went so woke. Why is there a feminist in every TV show? I can't watch a movie without seeing rainbows. I can't find a male music artist not wearing girl clothes. I can read your mind, I should be banned on everything. I'm a hateful bigot and everything I say is so mean. I should believe all women because every girl is a queen. Tell me something I don't know. Cause wow, y'all are so predictable. Everything's political. Why are y'all so sad and miserable? I think you're mad because I'm happy. You want me unhappy. Just maybe I'm not the one that's crazy. Maybe it's all y'all that think men can't have babies. Now you hate me, but it doesn't faze me. I wouldn't wear a dress even if a label paid me. I know I can read your mind, I should be banned on everything. I'm a hateful bigot and everything I say is so mean. I should believe all women because every girl is a queen. Tell me something I don't know. Cause wow, y'all are so predictable. Everything's political. Why are y'all so sad and miserable? I think you're mad because I'm happy. You want me unhappy. But But I'm like, wow, y'all are so predictable. Everything's political. Why are y'all so sad and miserable? I think you're mad because I'm happy. You want me unhappy. But I'm like, wow, y'all are so predictable. Everything's political. Why are y'all so sad and miserable? I think you're mad